is Octave Leap. Innovation, regeneration, and human optimization.
This is Octave Leap, gathering of the crypto tribe with some of my favorite human beings on the face of this wonderful, beautiful planet. So here we are today with Micah, Alex, and Martin. How are you all doing?
Good. I'll start. Good.
Awesome to hear. We've got a range of different backgrounds. Alex is in the library of arcane knowledge. Martin is in sort of the globetrotter, figuring out where he's going to go next in the world. And Micah, of course, is in the magical woods. And I am in my spaceship as per usual. So we're going to have a great chat today. We've got a lot of stuff talking about. There's a lot going on. And we're going to actually mix it up a bit. So some of it is going to be a bit technical. Some of it's going to be really just relational and kind of fun. But we're going to have a good time, and we're going to roll with all of this. So Martin will be doing a sound journey tonight in Austria, right, Martin?
Yes.
Yes. So he's going to be up first, and he's going to be talking a little bit about security. And so I'm going to turn it over to Martin to just give us sort of an update on security for crypto and sort of some of the things that he's seeing out there, whatever else he wants to talk about.
Yep. Thank you. And it's interesting because I recently, to some of other crypto friends, I sent information about, like a 1 or 2 hour course if you're interested in just getting like the basics straight regarding security and privacy. And it's not specific to crypto. I mean, it's like having our own or a specific email address for crypto makes sense anyway. It's not like specific to that. And he was like, yeah, I know the importance. I know how important it is, but I don't feel it right now. I was like, And I hear that quite a lot. People kind of see the importance of security and privacy, but when you give them a workshop, it's like, no, it doesn't feel right at the moment. So it's a very interesting controversy, and I think it kind of shows what's going on in the world at the moment as a whole. There's so much controversy, and we're going in one direction, but we see that it's kind of weird. And I think the whole crypto space at the moment, for me, and I guess most of us are in the bear market for the very first time, it's interesting because you're getting used to what's going on, and you're getting calm, and you're getting just present with what's happening. So it's a beautiful learning at the moment.
It's an interesting parallel, I feel, as the bear market has sort of come into full swing. We've seen the weakness collapse. We've seen these areas that, they were fine during the bull market. They could get away with being loose, with, leverage trading and all of the crazy stuff that was happening with some of these multi-billion-dollar firms. And then when the bear market hits and they go belly up within minutes, back in June, multiple large cryptocurrency holders and providers basically got liquidated and disappeared, and you never heard from the founders again, or they were thrown in jail. And it's kind of the same way I feel about security. People don't care about it until something goes wrong, right? They don't care about security until they lose everything. And in crypto, you don't have to lose everything to learn your lesson. I feel like if you can listen and learn from other people's mistakes, you can save yourself a lot of grief there. This has never happened to me because I've always taken security seriously, but nothing could be worse than, let's say you made a whole bunch of money on an exchange, and then you wake up one day, you go on, your exchange is hacked. Or, I think with MetaMask, if you don't take the certain right I've heard this many times, people have millions of dollars of crypto and NFTs, and then they weren't thinking straight, and then they, got contacted by MetaMask support and accidentally typed their secret recovery phrase into some scammer's inbox, and that was the last they ever saw of their crypto and NFTs.
Yeah, it's definitely the whole. I get scammed, I guess, every day now. I don't even look into my spam folder anymore, like on a daily basis, because Coinbase is texting me and MetaMask is sending me emails and so on. So I guess we all know these things. And once it's interesting because we never gave MetaMask our email address. But once we get an email from MetaMask, we just forgot that we never gave them our email address.
It's cool
So
because in Crypto Revolution, we kind of, in week 2, we kind of set everybody up and we let them know and we open their eyes to that. And I noticed a lot of people were messaging, hey, I just got an email from MetaMask. And it was coming up more and more. And we'd be able to say in the group, that's not real. MetaMask doesn't have your email. They don't want your email. That's the point of being decentralized. And so people learned kind of, again, through other people. Hey, oh, wow, well, that could happen to me. And I guess it is kind of freaky because you see how naive kind of we all are. And then, you know, something like that happens. Oh, okay, maybe it is MetaMask. Maybe they want me to do this. Or maybe, oh, I do have a Coinbase account. Coinbase is messaging me. But, you know, they're getting more and more sophisticated, the scammers, right? And especially one thing I've seen is every time you post a crypto video or on Twitter, if you mention, you know, MetaMask, all the spam bots come and they start their own conversations and threads in your comment section. And there's people that are seeming like well-intentioned people. And then the spam bots answer them and you find out they're all spam bots talking to each other that are running this sophisticated thing to get you to go into another location and basically make you think they're real people with real intention.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see where, like, I wonder when humanity will get to the point where we don't where we don't need that anymore, or we can with an honest and generous intent do whatever we're doing without any I need to take money away from him or from her, or whatever. It's without all of this bullshit, basically. Sorry for
it reminds me. I mean, you know, Alex and I are working a lot with aligned business and exploring what is the new business paradigm. And I think it all starts. It's sort of like that bite of the apple in the Garden of Eden. It's sort of like when you take that and you start down the wrong path, and you know, whatever for that myth, whatever you believe, but that example of you take one step in a certain direction and then it sets off a chain of events. When people go into business and the first thing they look up is how to make 7 figures, you know, the money becomes the driving force, and that may cause them to do things that are unethical or, you know, completely inappropriate because the thing that they're putting above everything else is making money, and that whole system is tainted, as we know.
And I mean, we've seen that. You mentioned June, and also I think Terra Luna collapse was in May, right?
Yeah.
I think when you kind of follow the story, when you follow what has happened, it's just pretty obvious that any market is manipulated.
Yeah.
And that's.
I'm going to talk about that today because there's been a development that happened in July with BlackRock and Coinbase that has to be reiterated many times, because now we're basically 10xing the amount of market manipulation through this one thing, this introduction of a system that we'll talk about a little bit later. But there's ways around that. You know, I mean, as heart-based people trying to make it into this new world, we're ducking and diving and rolling with the punches and learning from things that explode along the way.
That's true. Yeah. That's also why you quickly mentioned the workshop or the course I will be doing in 3 weeks, 15th of October. I also realized, like, our attention span grew shorter and shorter. So we want to make money quick, right? That's always kind of the how to make 7 figures quick. And I guess it's with everything we're doing. And that's what I also realized when it comes to security and privacy. I can make a 30-hour course and it would just be 32 hours too much. So if you have a 1-hour course that gives you practical examples of these are the 10 things to implement, or 1.5 hours, these are the 10 things to implement, then it's a lot easier to get accustomed to this and to start understanding what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, and to just not fall into this. It's like the mom telling you, don't step into that hole, you will fall into it.
Martin, you've enlightened me to a very interesting concept, right? I'll open this up. Do you guys eat at McDonald's often, regularly?
What's that?
Do you eat at McDonald's?
Especially since the M, I don't know if it's the same in Canada and in the US, but the M in Austria, it got green. So it's not a red. They did greenwashing. They literally did greenwashing by making the M green, not red.
All of a sudden, the company 100% all beef is no longer carrying cows; they're carrying crickets instead. But, But what I'm trying to say here is, we make our choices in life consciously. A lot of people eat organic food or locally grown food. They support farmers markets. They want natural products. And then they go onto their computer and they go to basically like the big pharma equivalent, big tech, right? They go onto these platforms, and these platforms are manipulating their data in the background, and they don't even realize it. And it's an extension of our being into a different realm, into the digital realm. And so when we do that, we're exposing ourselves to different influences. And if we're not aware of what we're doing, we might have a different feeling in our body as a result of that, and we'll not know why. Versus when I use, Proton Mail or Secure Mail, I actually just feel better, even though I know it's not, email isn't secure by design, but I just feel better using that, or using sort of, search engines and other technologies that aren't big tech. And I mean, look, I'm still undergoing transitional ethics. I use Zoom. I know Martin, whenever we have meetings, Martin is very precise about, maybe using something open source like Big Blue Button to have the conference call on. And when we were setting up the Discord server, it was sort of like, okay, what are the other options? And Martin was really helping us try to find other things. Unfortunately, nothing else worked. So we did go with Discord, and we sort of just said, hey, look, don't post anything that's too private or personal on here, because of, it's a bigger tech platform essentially. But, it's interesting when I see like conscious business people and stuff like that. They say, join my Facebook group. I'm like, why do you have a Facebook group still?
Or then let me Google this, let me Google that. It's became became synonymous with searching. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting the way that brands monopolize our thinking.
And one, like, since we're talking about Google or searching in general, one little hint, and I think the last 2 years especially taught me that, is you can be in like 10 different Telegram groups handling whatever happened in the last 10 years, and you will get a lot of information of what has happened and why, and conspiracies and not, and so on and so forth, and stories and blah blah. But what was interesting is when I'm looking for something online, when I search for something, Google or whoever else has this ability to bring me down or to lead me down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So what I started doing is I'm looking for one thing and then the complete opposite. So just as an example, let's go with nutrition. Let's say, why is vegan food good? Or why is being vegan good? And then also look for, why is being vegan not good? Yeah. And this gives a much broader. And I wonder how the search engines like deal with that. That you're like,
we're going to recommend them drugs for multiple personality disorder.
Yes, maybe, exactly. That might be the one. But like really informing us by basically, would you say looking over the rim or something? Would that make sense?
I'd say bursting the echo chamber bubble.
Yeah, maybe. I like that one. So that's something I do, and that really helps me to dissect the shit from the bullshit.
What do you guys think? What's your experience been with echo chambers online and navigating sort of some of the pitfalls around big tech?
Yeah, the echo chambers online is an interesting one. That's something that over the last couple of years I had to really focus on. So as Martin said, it's kind of researching the complete opposite of your position, and stepping into their shoes as like making a good faith actual argument against what you currently believe. Because I found the algorithm just kind of filters you through all the social media, all the search engines, the news sites, even if it's alternative news, it's really a one-pointed way of looking at things. So if you want to think for yourself, which is what sovereignty is all about, it's really getting all the perspectives and then filtering it through yourself, versus letting one source, no matter who that might be, dictate what truth is for you.
Yeah, we even see that. That's a very good point, Alex, because we even see that with well-intentioned organizations and groups. Actually, Mike and I were chatting about this a few nights ago. Sometimes people have big visions and they want to impact humanity and change the world, but then they kind of go down that road of then saying it's us versus them. And as a result of that, our information is clean. All the other information out there is not. And then something happens. You know, there's a tendency or a risk of that occurring where people stop being broad in their perspective and taking information in from multiple sources and start to trust one source only. And even if that source is well-intentioned, it can create problems with abuse, problems with cult thinking, problems with, having a wide perception and an open mind. It becomes very closed-minded.
Yeah,
Yeah, it just becomes a closed system. It's very simple. It's just that
Yeah.
way and no other way. And
Yeah.
and mostly it's the opposite of what was the aim in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. My days as a hydrogeologist, which is a groundwater engineer, there's a certain thing that happens with streams, with creeks, and that when a creek changes direction, it'll start forming a new path over time, but it will leave behind a little bit of the old direction, and that forms what's called an oxbow lake. So it becomes a closed system, and it actually kind of becomes a swamp. And so sometimes by a creek or river, you'll see there's this little swampy wetland where the creek used to go, and that closed system sort of stagnates. And I always think of that when I think of sort of something that may have one point had a use and its place, and all of a sudden now the stream's going the other way and it's left it behind, but that closed system isn't in communication with where the stream currently is at.
There's also another nice word that it's similar to the online echo chambers, and it's called confirmation bias. Yeah. So whatever we look at, it's like we confirm whatever we already believed in. And let's look at the last 2 years. If you believed in one story, obviously it's very hard to change to another story, because then you would need to admit, and I heard that the brain doesn't have a function for change. It has a function for delete and recreate, kind of, but the change is not easily happening. So and our survival mechanism, it doesn't want to delete something because so far it helped us to survive. And so that's also an interesting thing to keep in mind.
The brain is inherently lazy, and it actually just reinforces the first thing it learned, whether it was right or wrong. So if you saw the word garden, but it was like Graden, Gradan, you're more likely to spell it Graden no matter how much you retrain yourself. It actually requires a lot of effort if that's the way you're first exposed to it, which is why when you're raising children, it's a good idea to teach them right the first time and not say, they can relearn that later. No, don't go down that route. That's a lot of brain power required to switch the neural networks.
It's starting to shift away from black and white, from kind of the binary thinking of this or that, like two groups, extreme polarities, and getting back to the gray area and nuances, which every topic has. And if you find yourself just at one extreme, no matter what that is, it's probably time to look in the mirror or look at the other side's perspective.
Totally. To
start balancing things out a little bit.
It's funny because that shows up in crypto a lot too. Because there's really two things that can happen with any cryptocurrency. It goes up or it could go down. It might go sideways for a while, but eventually it's going to go up or it's going to go down. And people get very polarized into thinking, it's going to go up. They're called bulls, or they think that it's just going to go down forever, and they're called bears. But eventually, it's going to do its own thing, like life always does, and sort of go up and then down and kind of change with that current. And it's made me think when I trade to think in terms of probabilities as opposed to, fixed outcomes. So there's a probability, and maybe there's a greater probability of something happening. But when you start approaching life as a whole series of probabilities and that nothing is fixed, it makes you so much more adaptable and so much more in tune with where that stream is heading, as opposed to running the risk of ending up in the Oxbow Lake.
You see with maximalists of certain coins, they listen to the founder, they listen to the team, all the press that comes out. It's all super confident and bullish, but they don't seem to take any of the other information into account. They don't take any risks into account. Any of the negative press is just very one-sided.
Man, it happened with Terra Luna back in April. There's a guy named Jack Newald, and he's sort of a crypto researcher or analyst. And he actually said, guys, Terra's cool and it's got a lot of stuff going for it, but there's this possibility of a death spiral happening. And a death spiral is a pretty intense word. and he started posting his rationale for it. And he literally got attacked by every single person that was, a lunatic, Terra Luna supporter, including the founder himself. And the guy ended up basically going into hiding for a little while. And then finally, when the whole death spiral scenario played out, everyone was in disbelief, and then realized, oh my God, there was this fundamental thing that we couldn't look at because of this bias, because we were too maximalist in our thinking. Because up till that point, everything had worked out well, and nobody said, well, everything's worked out well now, and this is a great community, and there's a lot of building happening, and there's a lot of great things going for it, and it had a fatal flaw, making it susceptible to manipulation and exploitation.
One thing that comes up is if you hear something that really creates an intense emotion in your body, like a ton of rage and anger, where you're lashing out at people, it's a good idea to think, like, have I identified myself with something in this project? Like saying I'm a lunatic, this is part of who I am, then you're much more likely to blow your top and be very emotional, versus something that's just, oh, this person disagrees with me or sees something different.
I mean, it even happens with sovereignty. I am a sovereign person, and I will only do things in the sovereign way. I mean, people can get carried away with anything, or, so I know a lot of people follow, Jacqueline's work, and they can get too focused with the blinders up with that on as well. And something that really says, trust yourself, listen to your body signals, then gets distorted into, I'm going to fixate on this exact thing that was said at this point in time and do nothing else. And regardless of what it is, well-intentioned or not, anything that we get fixed on is going to cause problems. Martin, anything else you want to give on the security and tech side of things, other than the fact that you've got a workshop coming up? We're going to do probably a sliding scale contribution on October 15th. We don't quite have it set up, but we'll just throw it out there for anyone listening. And check back on the Octave Leap website, because it will be up in the next few days. What are we going to cover in that workshop?
A few different things, but summarized, it's all practical. So we'll give a little bit of theoretical background, and then we go step by step through a few security tweaks on our phone, on our laptop. So it's the main aim is, like, because I hear a lot, I did this hour, but then I didn't implement anything. So the whole workshop, and I guess it will be around 2 hours, will be about practically implementing stuff. I will show it through screen sharing, and that's the main point of it. And there was also the question about email before and spam. I recently found a very nice way through aliases to, first of all, not get that many spam emails. And if you get spam emails, you know who gave away your email address. And the good thing about aliases as well is when emails are shared and sold, the aliases most of the time are kicked out. So there's a very easy way that I didn't know until recently to basically nail down our spam receptivity. Let's put it that way. So we'll cover having separate emails, and then just a few very basic important things to not only keep our crypto safe, but to keep our whole online and privacy, online life safe and private.
That's amazing. Yeah. So really good practical workshop for people that want to get a little bit more familiar and also dip their toes in and take some practical steps with their online footprint and their online security and privacy. And I think, it makes your experience of being online cleaner.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah. And more informed.
Informed and cleaner.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Well, Martin, I mean, you're a guy who's doing a lot of stuff online, but I always look at you and you also are the epitome of a healthy relationship with technology. And I think that's so cool, because a lot of people who end up online, it's kind of like you stare into the abyss too long and you get like this. The life force is just sucked out of them through the screen.
I try to keep my balance. I'm also like, I have to admit, of course, that it's also sometimes not easy, because it's a good distraction. And it's interesting. I keep seeing, like, that's Greenland, and I've recently been here in Greenland, so I keep seeing that all the time. So going to Greenland is a perfect way of just getting away and taking a few
I
days
love
off.
reading your article with those philosophical insights from your trip to Greenland. It was really cool. We shared that in our community. Actually, we might post the link to that in the description below a little bit later. So if you guys are watching this or listening on one of your audio podcasts, you check out the link. It'll be up in the next day or so to Martin's article, which is a great little read.
Lovely. Thank you. Yeah, it's inspired by it basically, the name of the article is The Iceberg That Sank the Titanic. And
right. It's Greenland's claim to fame.
I was at the place, like it was in Ilulissat, where the iceberg originated. It's the biggest iceberg dispelling glacier in that area, or in the whole Greenland. So it came from there. It was very interesting.
Wild. Very interesting indeed. Cool. So we're gonna move on now. And thank you very much, Martin, for everything.
Thank you, everyone, and I'll send good vibes in the sound journey to you. Thank you for having me.
Enjoy thoroughly. I'm a little bit envious, as I always love a good sound bath. And Martin, you and Marie do an exceptional job at that. So those people in Austria are going to be very.
I've recorded.
Very blessed. Nice.
Perfect. Okay. Right. See you.
Take care.
Bye.
So next thing I want to talk about is something very interesting indeed. We're going to have a little chat here about what's sort of coming down the pipeline. Where are things going? This is sort of the early indicators that things are going to get a little bit more real for us very shortly. So I'm just going to pull up this. So a few months ago, Coinbase was selected by BlackRock. Everyone heard of BlackRock before? Oof. To provide Aladdin clients, and I'm not talking about Disney movies here, I'm talking about something else, access to crypto trading and custody via Coinbase Prime. So what is this? Well, Aladdin is an asset management software. It's an AI system that manages $40 trillion of global assets. And now clients of this, so the biggest institutions in the world, can now use this AI management system to trade cryptocurrency via something called Coinbase Prime. So before this AI system wasn't really involved in crypto, but now it is. And this is the wild ride that we're currently on as trading crypto. And so if you're over leveraged on positions or you're trading too much, something like this could wipe you out. I saw a video. This is a 1-minute chart. So this is literally something that happened in the course of less than a minute. The price of Bitcoin went up by like 2%, and then it went down in like literally, I watched this. I thought there was an error going on with the exchange. It went down by 6.5%. And I saw this video of these kids in Korea that they were up by $100,000, and then they got liquidated for $50,000 in the course of 30 seconds. And you basically watch this short reel on social media showing this happen. That isn't normal. That isn't natural, especially because it wasn't limited to Bitcoin. It actually occurred across stock markets across the world. It actually occurred in currency pairs and with other cryptocurrencies. So this sophisticated asset management software, AI, basically triggered this massive spike and then dump in a minute. And they timed it perfectly with the release of a major press statement. So it came on the back of news to hide it in the news. But the news wasn't actually that. It was basically what people expected. So there was no reason for it, but it could be blamed on the news. So the news was sort of a red herring for this very quick market manipulation that basically flushed a bunch of retail investors out of their crypto investments. Now, I want to show you another chart. Now, this probably looks like a meme coin right now. This probably looks like, dog coin or Shiba Inu going crazy, but it's not. It's actually the US dollar. So a bunch of people in Europe, all my European community and friends in Great Britain, you're probably seeing inflation and energy crisis and all sorts of stuff that's pretty freaky right now. And that's because all of the world's money is flowing back into the US dollar. And we're going to talk about why this is happening. But this is what's driving down markets right now. When money goes into the dollar, that means it's exiting from everywhere else. It's exiting from the British pound, which is basically lower than it's been since 1984. It's broken down below this level. So I'm keeping my eye on this to see, does it rebound? Does the British economy take a little bit of a recovery, or does it break down further here? My eyes on this. This is a developing story happening today. Same thing with the euro. The euro is collapsing compared to the dollar. And, this is sobering information. And it's not the end of things, but it's definitely showing us a major shift. And we have to ask, why is all this money flowing into the US dollar? Why is money leaving crypto? Why is it leaving stock markets? Why is it leaving other foreign currency pairs to go back into the dollar? And the answer, in my opinion, has to do with something maybe like this: the technical possibility for a US central bank digital currency. I've talked about central bank digital currencies a lot on this show. And basically, towards the end of the year, the US is going to give regulatory clarity to crypto, and also on the direction it will be taking with its own central bank digital currency. So very much what I see is the money's flowing into the US dollar, which is the global reserve currency. And then one day in the next near-term future, the US dollar will flip from the way it is now into a digital currency, and it will set the model or template for the unrolling or unveiling of digital currencies around the world. They've already been pilot tested in places like China and Nigeria. And basically, there is a lot of information on how these work and how they've been implemented in places that fly under the radar. Now, somebody's asking, what does it mean flowing into the dollar, and how does that work? Well, what it means is that the value of euros is dropping. So investments are no longer being priced in euros and in Great Britain pounds. They're actually going back into US dollar. And that is seen as a safe haven. So people are selling whatever they own to buy dollars. Investors are viewing dollars as safety. And this isn't just stock markets. This is economies around the world. So you could see Europe maybe selling off its euros in exchange for US dollars, possibly because of what's happening between countries in Eastern Europe that shall not be named. But there's a lot of uncertainty right now in Europe and the UK. And for some reason, they're viewing the US as being a safe haven at this time. So I'm just giving you guys sort of a big macro picture. And what implications does this have for crypto? Well, I personally think that, we're quite likely to see some lower prices. But, if people are part of our Discord server, we can prepare for that. If we're open and we see where things are going, we can plan accordingly and actually use these situations to our own advantage. So this isn't good or bad. This is just what's happening. And when we're aware of these things, we can plan accordingly. And when you have people that are following things like this, they're following the hard data in these charts. Sometimes people just tune in, but when you tune in and you get a feeling and it's supported by data, you get a very crystal clear, precise view of what's happening. You can take rightful action ahead of everybody else. You can be at the vanguard of something new. And that's the exciting part, because I don't see this digital currency thing playing out successfully in the long term. Dear Danny and I were talking last week, is you can't really take people from everything's about money and growing your business and buying cars and houses and all this to YOLO nothing and be happy and eat the bug jelly that comes out of your tube every 3 times a day. We can't really switch that fast when we're wired, and our survival mechanism is so tied into owning things and having money. I think a lot of us are sick and tired of money and the troubles it has caused, and we really value community and being together and feeling a sense of unity with other people. And that's really what we want. We just want to basically have a life where we're able to do what we want and not have to worry about things. And, the hustle to get money and earn money is a very baffling ordeal for many people. Wouldn't you guys agree? Let's hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
totally agree.
Go ahead, Mike.
It's so obvious. I mean, yeah. Sometimes I think, why do I spend so much time on this? Sorry. Instead, I want to do things that I like. I want to go in nature and do things that really contribute, but not that money thing all the time. So
yeah, it's amazing. There's an old story, it was in India, and it's an Indian proverb, and a man wanted a glass of milk. It's a bit sort of old world sort of cultural tendencies and stuff. But the guy wanted a glass of milk. So in order to get a glass of milk, he had to go out and he had to get a cow. And then he was milking the cow, but he realized that to keep the cow alive, he needed to earn more income. So then he got a second job. And then when he got the second job, he realized he needed someone to take care of the house. So then he had to hire a maid to take care of the house. And then when he had the maid in the house, he realized that he had to earn additional income. So then he basically had to go to his wife, and they had to get their children to start working to earn the additional income to pay for the maid to support the cow in order to have a glass of milk. And really, the guy just wanted a glass of milk. And it's kind of like us, we want to just be out in nature. We want to feel good. We want to live somewhere nice, but all the nice places are expensive. All the good places in nature we're being priced out of. So then we have to end up competing in a rat race to make money in order to live in places that are basically a basic human right, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's important to look at it as a means to an end, but as you say, it's necessary for where we live. If we want to eat healthy organic foods, it costs more. To take that time in nature and know that you're secure and everything's taken care of, it requires it. So it creates an issue where you kind of have to create a balance of seeing it as a resource, as just an energy flow, versus something that is inherently tied to your survival and your well-being and your identity, anything like that. Really shifting it away, getting some distance from it while still knowing that we need to use it right now.
Yeah. I think that's why scammers exist, to be honest, because they're looking for the path of least resistance to having that lifestyle. They just don't have any conscience about them or morality or ethics. The other thing, though, is that's kind of one of the reasons why I got into crypto as well, is to say, this is an area where we can operate outside of the existing financial system and potentially, when the timing is right, make, additional income or passive income. Now, I did get whipped around quite a bit, especially over the last year. I wasn't aware of the degree of market manipulation until a few months ago, because the entire crypto market didn't take a typical structure that it normally takes. It missed the whole blow off top thing. And that's because institutional money started getting in back in October, and then is more amplified now. But knowing that there's manipulation, it still is very lucrative. And it still is a good place to be, especially for people who want an alternative to this looming, impending dark horse of digital currencies that seems to be coming down the pipeline as we're being distracted with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and, all the benign crap that we see on TV. Oh, no, of course, the latest one was, the old lady that passed away in England. But this stuff is there. I just pulled up an article from the White House, but you never see that on mainstream news.
One question I have is, so the Coinbase article that you shared, and you'll see this more and more, the institutional money coming in. And on the one hand, we see there's a risk because it's going to involve AI bots manipulating the trading on kind of these short time scales. But I'd be interested, because I think a lot of people in the audience are more long-term investors or more kind of holders or swing traders. What would the impact be for that in terms of the inflow versus people who are scared on very short-term stop losses getting hit?
So the people that market manipulation will affect are the people that have a short-term vision or are too greedy on the short term, and they're making trades that are too big, or they're leverage trading, meaning that they can get completely wiped out, right? When you leverage trade, you're basically borrowing money to make a trade. And if it goes down by 10%, sometimes you can lose everything. Versus if you buy a coin like Bitcoin or you buy Ethereum, even if you bought too much, the price will drop, but eventually it's going to go much higher. So you still have that Bitcoin or Ethereum in the future. And so that's always the way to do it. If you're in it for the long term, what I think is going to happen is that the price of crypto is quite likely to be driven down further to try to scare people out so that investors in big institutions can get it for as cheap as possible. I mean, this is an old trick. We keep falling for it. Started with Rothschild back with during the Battle of Waterloo, right? You know the old story there, right? Where Napoleon's army was fighting the British, and he had his scouts out on the front line, and basically the British had won the battle, and it was going to have huge implications if they had lost. And so scouts came back and they told Rothschild the news that, we won, all's going to be good. And what did Rothschild do? He shows up at the stock exchange the next morning looking miserable. And he starts giving these whispers and rumors that we lost, because he had got the news first, and it hadn't reached back to London. And so he started selling. And as soon as he started selling, everybody else panicked, and they sold and brought the entire market down like it was some sort of altcoin. And then basically, what did he do? Right when it hit bare bottom prices, he bought everything back up. And that's basically, in one event, he created that whole family dynasty, and he sent his sons across to the major banking houses across Europe. And, I believe that was in the late 18th century, early 19th century. And that really firmly entrenched at a deeper level the
Interesting timing to pause or get cut out. I think the story Dave's talking about is also where the quote, "It's time to buy when there's blood in the streets." And even if you just take that metaphorically, looking at markets, it's time to buy when there's deep red. There's a lot of dropping prices. It's something we talk about a ton, but buy low, sell high, and they're looking to buy very, very low.
Yes, exactly. And so that would be the sort of long-term thing, is that the institutions want to come in and buy as discounted as possible so they can see the maximum amount of upside. Because let's face it, when you have 6 crypto companies advertising at the US Super Bowl, it's showing you crypto is here to stay. If you read into these companies and what they're doing and where investments are going for the future, you can see it's going to be enmeshed in our society the same way, actually probably to a greater degree than the internet was. Now, some of this is not going to be groovy. Some of this will not be, but the more decentralized applications will be amazing, because there's certain things that they can't do anything about. The only thing they can do to Bitcoin, they can't steal it or hijack it. The only thing they can do with Bitcoin is try to scare people out of it and buy it up. Now, of the 18 million Bitcoins that are currently floating around the cyberspace, 14 million of them are said to be held in illiquid supply, which means the people that own them aren't planning on giving them up. And, if you really dive into crypto, and as miserable as things might seem right now, there still is that conviction of we're creating something new. If you read the Bitcoin white paper, you immediately get the sense of somebody who says, look how flawed our existing financial system is. We need to create something for the people that serves the people and is much better. And I mean, people say Bitcoin is a conspiracy or government op or something like that, but they don't write like that. They don't write white papers like that. They don't say those things, no matter how hard they're trying to trick people. So I do feel like there are, within that larger milieu of many coins that might be part of a closed society, there are still going to be select ones that will liberate people and allow people to transact on their own terms.
And new projects coming up on the technology as well, of projects that learn from what just happened with manipulation with Terra Luna, ones that realize what happens when you're pegged to the US dollar, or subject to centralized exchanges and these things. You'll start seeing a shift as they actually learn and iterate and improve for community-based projects.
Mm-hmm. I think somebody, I was listening to somebody who went to MIT to give a guest lecture, and they said, the computer science program at MIT, they said, how many of you want to get into blockchain? And 2/3 of the class basically raised their hand. Now, these are people under 30. And we have to remember, people under 30, if you talk to them, you realize they might not be speaking the same language as us, but they are the ones with the instructions on how to change the world and what needs to be done, right? So for better or for worse, these young people, they have these instructions and they say, I need to do something with technology. I need to get involved with blockchain. I need to build things. It's going to probably be like a Ready Player One scenario, where you have the big corporations trying to just basically spam ads into your phone brain as best they can. And then you also, on the other side, have these people ducking and diving and creating this new future. And, I think about it. Some of the stuff that's emerged over the last 20 years has created the best quality of life for me personally, and for a lot of other people I know. And then other people have felt like the world's going to crap. And in some ways it is going to crap, but in many ways, the opportunities there have been amplifying and growing and allowing us to do things that we could never do before. So it really depends on how we're using these things, what our relationship is, and how we're navigating these times.
Yeah, I've talked about this a lot, even with the two of you, of being able to communicate with you both who are in different countries around the world, being able to hear from thought leaders and some of the most influential people just with the click of a button. Um, learn whatever I want, any topic I want. I can learn and I can access it in my home, in my shorts, on the couch or outside on the balcony.
Shorts on right now.
Yeah, there's something truly beautiful about that if we do form a healthy relationship with it and use it to build our dreams versus build the dreams of kind of the tech world. There's really something powerful to it.
The last 4 years, this is the first time in my life I've earned an income while wearing sweatpants every day.
That's the dream.
It's the dream. They're comfortable. I don't like wearing, dress pants to work. They cut off the circulation in the lower body. Like sweatpants are so comfy.
Yeah. My dog has learned that if I'm putting on pants, like actual pants with a belt, I'm likely leaving the house and going into public to do something.
Yeah, not walk time.
No, not walk time.
Right on. Well, I know you guys are looking for some tidbits of wisdom here, and our friend Nico is, of course, you've met him on the last live stream. He's an excellent trader, really fundamental pillar of our Octave Leap Crypto Community. He couldn't be here today. He's teaching CPR in Costa Rica, but he gave us a little video, a 7-minute video of a coin that he's watching to take a potential trade. So we're going to spend a few minutes watching Nico's video, and then we'll get back into the action. And Alex is going to chat about psychology with us afterwards. So here we go.
Hello, everyone. I'm really sorry I can't be live with you now, but I'm recording this video because I really wanted to share my thought on Atom that I've been looking at. I've been looking at Atom for a while now, and it looks like it's setting up for maybe a nice trade over the coming days. So let's look at it together. Let's dive into the chart. Okay, so here we are. This is Atom. Okay. So first of all, what I tend to do is I just start by tracing my line. So here would be a resistance. Okay, more of a box here it could be, but let's just do a line. It would look like this. Okay, so that would be our highest point, resistance, be touched multiple times here. It's been tested here twice. Could argue we formed a double top here. And then on the lower part, I would look at this zone here between 10.2, 10.3. Okay, but something around there. Right here. So here we would have our support. Okay, that's all our low range, the support, high range, the resistance. Okay. In between here, a bit closer to our price, there is a box that I could trace here. Okay, so I would take the top of this week here, and I would go like that, and I would take pretty much the lower part of that week here. I would be my support box. Okay, that's the important level that we're going to be looking at over the next days. So when I started to look at this trade, I had a channel here that was looking like so. Okay, looking like that pretty much. So that was the channel I was looking at roughly. Okay, so I was looking at this channel, and here were beautiful trades, just up, down, up, down, up, down, beautiful trades. And then it started to trade on the lower part of the channel, and then it broke down once, came back in, broke down again. Then the lower part of the channel acted as a resistance, then went back into the middle range of the channel, but then started to trade sideways, almost argue that we have a flag here. So to me, this channel is not anymore like this, but I would be looking, I would readjust it a bit more this way, okay? So that would be our sort of our new channel, okay? So we'll be looking at something like this, okay? And now we can see that actually the lower part of this channel has been tested a lot lately. And I mean, over the last week, it's been tested pretty much every day, okay? Every day we went back down to this lower part of channel and to test it. So what I'm looking at is very simple, okay? It's either we break down, sorry, down of the channel, and then down this box here, then I would be looking at a short position, okay? And I would go all the way down here. I would be careful in this zone as well, okay? Because again, that's a zone that's been tested a lot lately. So I would really look closely this zone, the $12 zone, pretty much. But the objective would be to take most of the profit down here. I would be the 19% profit, which would be great. And then up here, okay, if I see the price going back inside the channel, I would look very closely, and I might even stop, okay? Might even stop my trade, get out, because if it goes back in the channel, there's a high chance for it to go and at least retest the mid way of this channel, and higher chance even to go and test the top part. Here will be a big resistance anyway, okay? But you don't want to be in the trade that so far, okay? So that's what I would be looking at. And then obviously, if the opposite happens, if we stay in here and I see a good, nice bullish candle here, I should have sort of confirmation at around this level. Then I would enter a long around here, okay? And that would be a long for 30% profit, okay? And I would put my stop loss at just under that this support box here, to keep 1.7 reward risk ratio. So that's quite good. But I would be looking at this resistance here. That would be very important. See what happens when we get close to that resistance here, and maybe take some profit and let it run. But the maximum profit target would be the top part of this channel. Here we go. That's that, guys. I'm really looking closely here because I think we have some very good setup here for Atom. It's been trending up up until now. Again, I like trading with the trend, so I would rather open a long here if I see the signal for long, because that's still the trend that Atom is in on the daily chart. So yeah, that's what I have to share. Do not hesitate to talk about it, to comment and talk about it in our Discord server. I will be happy to discuss this trade that might happen, that will happen anyway, because it's gonna go up or down at some point. So there is a trade that will be here for us. So yeah, don't hesitate to comment, discuss that with us in the Discord group. And that's all I had to share for today. Back to you, David. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
So in addition to you speaking from people all over the world, you can now speak to people from the past. As Nico recorded that yesterday for us, as he knew he was going to be away today. But I know some people that's probably a lot of information, but don't worry, we offer a lot of trading education to basically, for the amount of time put in, you can earn a very good return when you're educated and know how to trade properly. I mean, you can lose money very quickly if you don't know how to trade properly, of course. But what Nico's saying there is definitely something I follow along with, and I place my own trades. We actually both do in our Discord server. So we have the link below to join the Discord server where we talk about this. And if you remember, we actually give you all the specifics on how and when to take the trade, and you have educational material to follow. You can watch videos to basically know all the steps you need to do when a trading signal comes in and out. So you follow along with us, you learn as we do, you learn alongside us as we take trades. And that's a beautiful thing. Nico also offers one-on-one sessions as well for people. But, if you're just starting out, probably the best thing is actually going to be on this channel, this Octave Leap channel. We're going to start posting a how-to series on trading for people who want to get in there. Because, a lot of things that I hear from people nowadays, people are feeling the bottom line. They're feeling strapped. And when you learn skills like this, you can earn additional income and feel empowered because you're becoming more and more financially literate. One of the most cool things that I learned about trading, and which I showed you guys earlier, is now I can forecast where the world is heading just by looking at a couple charts. I can look at the dollar chart, the oil prices, all of this, and I can see geopolitics playing out. Charts don't lie. They tell you exactly what happened. They show you all the manipulation. They show you all the activity of everybody who is involved in participating. So in many ways, it is one objective way to look at things. And if you know what you're doing, you can also earn additional income when you learn how to trade properly, is the caveat, of course. What do you guys think of that?
It's awesome to see how he thinks of seeing whether it goes up or down, there's a trade here, and we just have to be
Exactly.
time it properly. That doesn't matter
Yeah.
what's happening with the market when you have that mindset.
Exactly. Either up or down, there's a trade. It's just you adjust accordingly. Alex, I think let's spice it up with some stuff that's a little bit more qualitative as opposed to quantitative. And so you just posted a beautiful blog post in the Discord today on mindset and psychology. And so I wanted to sort of open the floor and give you a bit of space to chat about these things with anybody tuning in right now.
Sure. Yeah. So it's something that goes way beyond crypto, but it was a post basically looking at healthy relationships with technology. So knowing that technology is going to be a big part of how we move forward in this world. But as a result, we have to make sure we have healthy boundaries with it. We have to make sure we're using it to build our dreams in a way that's aligned with us, that's healthy, that's aligned with nature's principles, that's not this kind of extractive, addictive tendencies that put you into your head and into just kind of constant mental activity. And so one of the main things I just wanted to chat about, because it's so simple and that's why it's effective, I think, is returning into the body. So when we're on our screens all the time, one thing I'm sure everyone's experienced, you kind of feel like you're getting sucked in, like your head cocks forward, all the energy goes into your head. Like you can almost picture this funnel going into the screen. And even more so if we're looking at money, if we're looking at cryptocurrency and markets, we end up splitting ourselves between the past, the future. We're not here. We're kind of in our heads and moving around in all sorts of time zones and potentials, hypotheticals, really deeply in our head. So instead of looking at concepts, I think the most important thing is just to remind people, even right now, feel into your body. So how do your shoulders feel? Like maybe they're a little tense. Maybe they can just loosen with that attention. Put your attention down into your hands. See how they feel. Really sit with it. And as Kanai says, exactly, go all the way down to your feet. It's a way of feeling grounded, feeling fully in your body. But feel into your feet and make a practice of this throughout the day, especially if you're sitting at screens a lot. Just bring the attention back into the body, back to the breath. Just that attention will start expanding it, slowing it down, and it shifts your entire state of being from this very active, overstimulated state into relaxed ease, where it's more comfortable, but we're also in a much better place to trade, to invest, to make good decisions, and to again have the power in our hands versus in the tech giants or the app that we're using. It really takes the energy and the power back into our own hands. I think it's super important and super simple.
Beautifully said, Alex, because that I've done that many times, and it's such an effective technique I don't think I'd be half as lively and personable if I didn't return to the body. Well, because I'm on the computer a lot all day. I sit in front of my laptop, I'm doing creative stuff, I'm writing a lot, I'm posting, I'm doing emails, all sorts of different things and running a business. But I always bring it back to the body. I take lots of breaks. We go for walks around here. I go to the gym, jump in the ocean, that type of thing. And when you mix it up like that, you see how we can have a healthy relationship. There's the 20-20-20 rule that's extremely important. So the 20 minutes is work on your computer for 20 minutes and then take a 20-second gaze away from the computer somewhere in the distance, and then take a 20-year break into the forest and just go live in the woods.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah.
And if it's not second nature to you now, just put a sticky note somewhere, or put a little sign, just something to remind you of it. It's extremely important.
I had a friend once, and she had these 3 little circle tattooed to her forearm. I'm like, what does that mean? And she's like, for me, it's a reminder to breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mastery of breath is mastery of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I want to also chat. I want to bring Micah on. I know Micah's sitting there just beaming in nature into this live stream right now. But she just recently ran Empowering Women Financially Round 2. And yesterday they had an integration session for the group, for the women involved. What's been your experience with holding these groups and hosting these groups? And what are people really valuing from these experiences, Micah?
Well, it's nice just to come together and to share everything that comes up, because every time we're so surprised that we all experience the same things, but we think we're the only one. And then there are also a lot of things that are hidden. So one woman shares something, and then all the others go, oh yeah, I have that too, but I didn't know it was that. So it really brings up stuff. And everyone also has another way to deal with it. So for one person, it's this, and the other one something else, and we really inspire one another. So this way, it's much easier to move through the blockages that, technology alone is sometimes a problem, let alone if we get really into crypto. So but really connecting, that's so important. Feel it every time. Yeah.
It's amazing, because I know, I think a lot of people, especially people who are older and maybe not so familiar with technology, they can feel like they're at a natural disadvantage trying to go into crypto. They're interested on one hand because of the promise that it holds, but on the other hand, the technology side of it and the computer side of it is pretty intimidating. But it feels like with what you do with the groups is that you create a container that holds everybody up and gives them that initial boost to move through it as a team in a way where everybody is supported because they're supporting each other and they learn together as a group.
Yeah, absolutely. And you would be surprised of the older ladies. Sometimes they're just the most motivated and they just go on, and it's wonderful to see. So it's not age related. Everybody can do it.
What are some of the most positive shifts you've seen out of the last few Empowering Women Financially that you've run with these groups?
Well, I think the most positive is that they just continue despite everything that comes up. And the first round was very more complicated. So we had a lot of options and fancy things. But the second, we just really reduced it to only simply buy Bitcoin decentralized. And that alone was enough. And just taking baby steps towards that goal, it's much more manageable. So and I could see a few really managed it, so they really got there. So that's really nice to see.
Yeah, that's really beautiful to hear. And to the others who may not have gotten there yet, it's that yet, right? We all just go in our own time. So sometimes a weekend isn't enough time, or a 2-week period isn't enough time to make these big shifts in an area that we naturally have resistance to. Maybe it takes a little bit longer. Maybe it takes a couple more group sessions or gatherings of people to kind of move through some of those last little areas where they do find incredible freedom. But what does it feel like for people when they actually break through and they make it to that other side with crypto?
Yeah, empowerment, because a lot of them didn't think they could do it. So, and they learned so much and they processed so much because, yeah, it's in the body. So the body has to process it all, and they got much more out of it. It's not just the crypto is there, but it's like they opened their flow to life, to money, to all of resources. So it's such a win.
That's great. Do you think at some point in the future you'll be running this again?
Yes.
Who knows?
Think so, yeah.
Great. That's awesome. In the meantime, I did want to share with you, as some of you know, a video on the channel went viral, and amongst anything, it was on NIMIQ, believe it or not. So we got, thank you for everybody who watched the video and shared it, because it got picked up by a much wider audience than I would have ever expected. And even the NIMIQ team was commenting. It was really awesome. So I just want to kind of plug NIMIQ once again, because people getting into crypto, this is crypto for humans. It's not using the fancy words. It understands crypto is an obstacle for a lot of people, and it's a natural blockage and things that people struggle with. And it doesn't help when crypto teams and crypto projects start using all this jargon and lingo that, even spins my head or gets me into the head. I'm not in my body when I'm reading a lot of crypto white papers, I'll tell you that much. So NIMIQ, they solved this problem. But if you go to their website, which is www.nimiq.com, you can actually just read a one-pager that just tells you about the project and about the technology very simply. You don't have to go and read the full white paper. Although if you are a little bit more inclined and savvy, I would highly recommend it. So we'll post a link to the video in the description if you haven't seen it. But NIMIQ is essentially a decentralized way to buy and store your cryptocurrency safely. And you can even hook it up with a hardware wallet, a ledger wallet, for increased safety. So your whole crypto experience is kind of mapped out with what we're doing, where you can learn a little bit about crypto, buy your first crypto, and then store it in a decentralized place where it cannot be taken away from you, it cannot be confiscated, it cannot be shut off like central bank digital currencies. And then at that point, the thing that I really like about this, and I will be doing future videos on this, is that this is basically a way to, I'm just scrolling down here on the website, but you can spend crypto like cash online and in person. So they have ways of integrating it with payments. So they're heading towards creating a completely decentralized economy where you can transact with NIMIQ, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. And as some of you already know, some websites out there are already having NIMIQ integrations, and you can pay for your services or your donations with the NIMIQ token, Bitcoin, or Ethereum. And it actually makes it very seamless. It makes it, you don't get the same fees like you do with PayPal and Stripe. So it's just better. We're still early to this thing. We're still early to the point of reaching mass adoption. So I'm actually going to do a few more videos. I'm going to talk about some of the other features on NIMIQ. So if you haven't liked and subscribed this channel, I highly recommend you do, so that you receive notifications when we do put out more content on some of these really cool decentralized cryptocurrency options. Now, I know, Micah, you're a big fan of NIMIQ as well, right? I see your head nodding there.
Yeah, it's just user friendly, and yeah, it has like good coins. So
yeah, great. So yeah, I think this has been a really, really fun gathering. We're going to do these monthly. I didn't get a chance to talk with Martin about his abundance machine, but the plan for next month is his abundance machine. We will discuss on the show, as it's the solution to many, many challenges we face out there. It's something I'm working on with him and somebody else. So we'll have a chat about that, because these are part of the solving that money problem that we were mentioning earlier in this discussion, right? We want ways around having to hustle for money, having to think about money all the time. I always say wealth is never having to think about money, in whatever way that shows up. If you never have to think about money, you don't have to worry about taxes, you don't have to worry about bills and buying food and all this kind of stuff, you are wealthy, because you can just do what you want at that point. This is awesome. Thank you. And simple is so good. Yeah, you keep it simple, and you have a lot to work with. And when you get complicated, I think we lose everyone. So, crypto doesn't have to be this big, mysterious, complicated thing. It can be pretty simple. It's basically saying, do you want an alternative to the system that is at the core of screwing everybody over for millennia and millennia, or not? It's basically the question we're asking here. So if you want to know more and you're keen to get started with your crypto journey, you can join our Discord server, which the link is in the description below. And if you're a member of our Discord server, and we have a standard rate and a supported rate, if you're a member of our Discord server, you'll be privy to the trades that we're taking. And so you can earn additional income by trading alongside of us and learn that helpful skill, which really turbocharges that feeling of empowerment. Because when you learn to trade, you learn a skill where you can make money basically with a laptop or a phone anywhere just by knowing what to look for. And that's really the beauty of it. It doesn't require as much time as you think it does. A lot of people think, oh my God, trading is this thing. I'll be sitting there looking at charts. I'll be sort of this cyborg. No, that's not true. Not only that, but we have lots of other support too. We're more than just a typical crypto Discord. We offer psychology. We offer community. We offer peer-to-peer transactions. We really try to go and create an economy based on this new paradigm of people caring for each other and people wanting a better world. So, what I always say is that when we're using technology, we should just be aware of the communities and the places we're engaging with and use it wisely, because we can foster incredible relationships. I have been blessed with so many amazing people in my life, like Micah and Alex, that I met pretty much online. I haven't met in real life, but we talk all the time, and we're doing things all the time, and we're collaborating, and we're building things, and we're engaging in new stuff, all through cyberspace. And so there's a healthy way to use technology, and it's sort of just getting over those initial hurdles like we're discussing. But we're finding ways around that, and that's why we have people like Martin coming on the show, and that's why we work with cryptocurrency, because I see this as a solution to a major problem that the world faces. So anything else that you two want to contribute before we close her off today?
Just excited to see the community build, honestly. Of back months ago running beginners calls with Micah, and seeing the development of some of the people within the community, from very new and overwhelmed, kind of just getting the initial steps, to all of a sudden teaching others and really going out on their own, bringing information forth. It's incredible to see the journey. So just much appreciation from myself.
Amazing. Yeah, that really is the part that makes it rewarding, when you see the transformation taking place in people's lives.
Yeah, and the connections as well. I met so many wonderful people. Yeah.
We as many of you know, we ran an Octave Leap survey recently, and a lot of you responded. I don't know who, because it was anonymous, of course, but I just know a lot of the sentiments shared on these live streams were reflected in that survey. And I have to say that we were enlightened about a few things. One of them was that people want more spaces where they can be heard and they can connect. And so we're looking at implementing those, of space where, we can just hang out and we can chat and you can speak and you can let us know what's going on in your world, what your dreams are. And, it becomes more of a two-way communication. We try to encourage two-way communications by doing these live and by having people commenting, which is amazing, but we want to do that more. And not only that, but Alex and I are actually working on an aligned business series right now that will be on this channel. So make sure you're subscribed and you hit the bell notifications. I hate saying that, but it's the only way that you're going to really see that stuff, because everybody says that on YouTube. But you'll see our content as it comes out, and you'll see the value that we're putting there about doing things in a new way, about being the one surfing on this wave of change as it rolls in against the shore of the world that that other people aren't anticipating. Why not be part of this excitement, this passion, this drive, and plugging into something great? And that doesn't mean giving up things like technology or some of the comforts we have. It's just working with them and changing our relationship to them. All right. I think this was a really great gathering, and I really enjoyed you two and your contributions today, as well as Martin's and everybody in the comments who's been posting so much love and so many great questions and consideration. And thank you to Nico and his blast from the past discussion there. That was really kind of him to record that video for the group and to share it with all you. So much love, and take care, my friends. We'll be back doing this again very soon. Bye-bye.
This is Octave Leap. Innovation, regeneration, and human optimization.